Hi friends, welcome to the New York State Museum, and thanks for joining us for another one of our virtual tours. My name's Kat Morehouse and I'm an educator here, and today we're in one of our special classrooms to talk about birds and mammals of New York State. So if you want to let us know you're here, if you have any questions during this tour, just use the comment box below and ask away. So we're going to get started today with some of our teaching collection objects. Now, we're really lucky because here at the New York State Museum, we have scientific collections upstairs on the third floor. And then in our classrooms, we have objects that we get to use for education purposes. So everything you're going to be seeing today is part of our teaching collection. Now, did you guys know what a mammal is? Mammals are a really awesome animal group that includes us, humans. And it's really diverse. We have mammals as big as a whale and as small as a mouse, or in this case, one of our voles. Mammals are able to live in the water. We have marine mammals like our whale, seals, and dolphins. And we have mammals that are able to take to the skies. So our only flying mammal are bats. Right? Our little brown bat here is one of our flying mammals. But most mammals live on land, like us. Now, what's something that these mammals have in common? Mammals have hair, they have teeth, they give live birth, and what else? Well, where we get the name mammal from comes from what mammals feed their babies. So what a whale feeds its baby, what a black bear feeds its baby, what we feed our babies is milk. And being able to feed babies milk is a really awesome adaptation. Now the word adaptation means change, and these changes are something that helps the animal survive and thrive in its environment. So being able to feed a baby milk allows an animal like our black bear, who gives birth in January, to feed its baby even when food sources in the region are scarce. There's not as many food sources available in winter, so they're still able to stay inside and hibernate and feed their babies. So that's the overview of mammals. What about birds? What's different about a bird than a mammal? Well, birds don't have fur, they have feathers. Yeah, and their feathers are on their wings. So birds have wings, they have feathers. They don't have teeth like you or I, they have beaks. And we see that their feet are different. They don't give live birth like we do. They lay eggs. Some of them even build nests to keep their eggs safe. But birds also have adaptations. Now, a really common adaptation that we can talk about is coloring. So that's something that our birds and mammals have in common, is they will use something called camouflage to better blend in with their surroundings. So here we have our ermine, and this ermine is very white. And it's only white in the cold months. Whereas in the spring and summer, if you see an ermine, they're going to be brown. And we can actually see this one is still changing, getting ready for winter. What's it trying to blend in with? Snow, right, exactly. We also see this with our snowy owls and our snowshoe hare trying to blend in. Now, something like our hare is going to be blending in with the snow to escape from predators, whereas our snowy owl will be trying to blend in so prey will not know that it's coming behind it. But that's not the only coloring adaptation we see. We also see something that's called countershading. This is common between birds and mammals. And it's where the underbelly is a light color. So we see on our gray squirrel that nice light belly, and their back will be a much darker shade. Now the reason counter shading is effective is if a squirrel's running through a tree and you're looking up from the ground, it's harder to see because of the sun. And if you're a bird flying above that tree, it's going to be harder to see that darker back because of all the shadows that are being cast below. So counter shading is another effective adaptation that helps these animals escape their predators. There are lots of adaptations that we see in birds that help them with flight. So not all birds are great flyers. Something like our turkey here spends a lot of its time on the ground. Now, wild turkeys are able to fly. They don't fly very high in the sky, and they don't fly for long distances. Whereas something like my owl is going to be an expert flyer. And that has to do with their weight, their wing structure, all these changes that allow them to be silent and fast when they're flying. So we can actually try this out. We can hear, using this turkey wing, how clumsy and loud a turkey is when it's flying versus our silent hunters like the owl. Ready? We're gonna have to be really quiet for this. Pretty loud. And our owl, much quieter, much quieter. So those are some adaptations that allow the owl to be a better hunter and a much better flyer. There are adaptations that birds and mammals both have. So one of my favorites to show here are loon, our redhead, our beaver, and our otter all have similar feet, right? All of them have webbed feet. And this gives us a clue about their environment. Where is the loon, the beaver, and the otter spending their time? In the water, right. These are all animals that are going to be good at swimming. Now, this is an adaptation that we see amongst all these animals because they're in similar environments. They're in aquatic environments. But all of these animals eat different types of food. So something like our loon is going to be an excellent fisher. Our duck is a good filter feeder. Our beaver is living off of aquatic plants. And our otter is a pretty good hunter. They're actually one of our apex predators in their environment, so they're going to be able to hunt animals. Now, not all of adaptations that we notice are going to be physical adaptations. We also see behavioral adaptations in animals. And one that I think is kind of funny is our possum. Now, a possum is able to do something when they're scared. If they're scared, they're going to play dead. But they also incorporate a pretty cool physical adaptation where they can make themselves smell really, really bad, smell like they're dead too. And that is so that predators won't want to eat them. Another one of our stinky friends has a physical adaptation where they will spray a scent that makes them not so appealing to have as dinner. And skunks also take part in some behavioral adaptations like hibernation. Hibernation is something that we see for skunks and black bears, and that is, again, so that they will not be fighting for resources in the winter months when there is less food available. Another behavioral adaptation that we'll see are animals that live together. So something like our beaver will stay together, our geese will stay together, coyotes that live in packs. So some animals choose to live with one another in order to better survive, whereas other animals like our black bear and our moose are much more solitary creatures. And our black bear is going to be a solitary creature, again, so that it's not fighting for food resources. Now, migration is another behavioral adaptation that we can see. And we see that oftentimes in birds that travel and things like our whales that will migrate from one area to another. And they'll migrate for feeding grounds and for breeding grounds. And we can learn a lot about what an animal is eating based on their physical characteristics. So we can kind of learn a little bit about if an animal might be a predator or prey and get some clues based on the way it looks. So we have my red fox here, and we notice my red fox has really nice big eyes, and those eyes are in front of its head. They're in the front like ours are. And that gives them binocular vision. It helps them to notice distance, how far away something is. So eye placement is a big clue on whether a bird or a mammal is predator or prey. So for our mammals like our red fox, the eye placement, eyes being in front, and teeth are the big giveaways. So our red fox has incisors, just like us, canines to the side, and molars in the back. You might notice in your teeth you have incisors in the front, canines next to those, and molars in the back. Well, a red fox has very sharp molars that allow them to rip up any food. Some mammals even have a special tooth called a carnassial tooth that's like a bone-breaking tooth. And so we can see here with our wolf, very sharp canines, sharp molars that act as scissors, and that bone-breaking carnassial tooth that gives us the clue that this is going to be a really good hunter. And we know that our wolf has a very strong jaw because of the sagittal crest here. This is where the muscles attach, and we know that this is going to have a strong bite grip. Now, if we come to my rabbit, are his eyes in the front or on the side? We notice that the rabbit's eyes are on the side of its head. So it doesn't have great distance vision, but it has excellent peripheral vision. So it's able to see if an animal is coming from behind. We can look at its teeth and we see that our rabbit has very long incisors, no canine teeth, and very flat molars. So this gives us a clue that our rabbit is not going to be a very good hunter. This is an herbivore, which means it's only going to be eating plants. Our bobcat here, eyes in the front, and we look at the teeth and we see very small incisors, sharp canines, and very sharp molars. And we know our bobcat, with those eyes in front for the distance vision, sharp teeth, sharp claws, is going to be a good hunter. They're a predator. And our bobcats are carnivores, which means they only eat meat. Now, getting into one of my favorites, we have eyes that would point in the front. We have incisors here, big sharp canines, but flat molars. Flat molars. So this is an omnivore. This is from a black bear. This is a cast from a black bear. And black bears are able to eat plants and animals, just like humans. So this is a great example of an omnivore. Now, like I said, we can use eye placement and not teeth, but beaks to give us clues about what birds are eating. So here we have our owl. Our owl has its eyes in front, very large eyes, and they're able to see distance. They have that binocular vision, a very good vision, and especially good vision because owls have a behavioral adaptation where they're hunting at night. They're nocturnal. Their beak is hooked. It's very sharp and hooked, which helps them grab on to their prey. And they have very sharp talons. Again, those sharp talons are like knives, and they're able to grab onto their food source. So we know that our owl is a very good hunter. They're eating things like mice and voles and shrews. Now, if we look at our grosbeak, they have a very cone-shaped beak, and their eyes are on the side. These are seed-eating birds. Our hummingbirds, their beaks are very long and narrow, and hummingbirds are nectar eaters, so they need to be able to get deep inside of those flowers to get to the nectar. Our woodpecker in back is an insect eater, so their beak is a little bit longer, and they're able to get to those insects. And our duck here has a flat beak, and that is going to allow them to be filter feeders. So they're filter feeders eating small insects and aquatic plants. All right, friends. Well, we just talked about some really cool adaptations and visited some of my favorite New York animals. Do you have any questions? All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.